This discussion explores how the classified blueprints of future combat aircraft are not merely engineering documents, but prophecies for the future of conflict. It argues that these designs foreshadow a fundamental shift away from physical dominance towards a new kind of warfare based on invisibility, perception, and autonomous decision-making. Ultimately, the analysis confronts the profound implications for the human role, questioning whether we are designing our own obsolescence or evolving into a new post-human form of warrior. But as we move from the philosophical to the functional, what specific paradigm-shifting technologies, from shape-shifting airframes to neural interfaces, are actually being drawn on these secret blueprints that promise to redefine the very nature of the sky?
Okay, let's unpack this. What if the most dangerous thing in the world isn't a weapon you can see, but one that is only maybe a whisper of an idea? Not a missile in its silo or, a fighter jet sitting on a runway, but a phantom captured in lines of code, a schematic sleeping on a secure server, a blueprint that is also somehow a prophecy. It's a concept that really makes you lean in and think, doesn't it?
It really does, indeed. Today we're embarking on what you might call a deep dive into these conceptual blueprints, the ones for the next generation of combat aircraft. And these are far from just technical drawings. They are, in a pretty profound sense, the modern mythology of our age.
Modern mythology, how so?
Well, think of them as stark geometric legends, not just of steel and fire like we're used to, but of silicon and, well, synthetic thought. These aren't just about defining future wars, though they certainly do that. They're also about the ethics, the very limits of human capability, and perhaps, the fundamental nature of the human spirit in the coming century.
Wow, so heavy stuff.
It is. They are the whispers of a future already taking shape, you see. A future built not just from rivets and aluminum, but from algorithms, biointegration, and in a chilling logic of absolute efficiency.
So our mission today then is to trace these intricate lines, explore what these designs truly reveal. And like you said, it's not just about the future of warfare, but about the future of us, the human element sort of caught in the middle of all this. We're going to delve into how these blueprints are fundamentally changing our understanding of flight, of combat, and maybe even what it means to be human. This deep dive is designed to offer you a shortcut, really, giving you crisp, digestible knowledge about these profound shifts without hopefully feeling overwhelmed. We'll try to simplify the most complicated ideas, break them down into concepts that are easy to grasp and follow, helping you understand the meticulous, in-depth analysis of every nook and cranny. Okay, so where do we start? I mean, we usually think of fighter jets as these loud, brutal physical facts, right? Steel, noise, fire.
Exactly. That's the typical image. When we consider military hardware, our minds immediately jump to what we see and hear, the raw thrust, the immense payload, the, undeniable thunderous presence of a machine screaming through the sky.
Yeah, very physical, very present.
But the sources we've looked at, they suggest we're maybe fixating too much on what is and missing the profound and frankly, sometimes unsettling truth of what is becoming. We're not just talking about incremental improvements here, a slightly faster engine, a better radar.
Oh, this sounds different.
It's a paradigm shift, a kind of phantom limb of technology that exists purely in a space of potential.
A phantom limb. I like that. So the blueprint itself has power.
That's precisely it. The sources describe holding a blueprint for something not yet built. It's like encountering a strange, almost metaphysical power. It possesses what they call a liminal reality.
Liminal reality. Liminal. That means
it refers to a threshold, right? A state of being between two other states. So a blueprint describes something that doesn't yet physically exist, has no material presence. Yet its entire essence, every angle, every stress tolerance, its precise function, is laid bare with what one source called almost theological precision.
Theological precision.
Yeah. Okay. It's like a ghost-given form, a detailed plan for something that will be, this isn't just a technical document anymore. It's almost like an incantation, summoning a future into being, charting its course, outlining its very existence before it even materializes.
That idea.
Yeah.
A document as an incantation, conjuring a future. That's really captivating. But hang on, let's take a step back for a second. This idea of the blueprint as a prophecy or even like an artistic vision, that isn't entirely new, is it? We've seen flashes of this before.
Oh, not at all. No, the roots run deep, really deep. Consider the earliest visions of flight. They were almost always tangled up with the impulse for warfare, for strategic advantage. Think of Leonardo da Vinci, right? Late 15th century. His notebooks are just filled with these incredible designs for ornithopters machines with flapping wings, mimicking birds, and aerial screws, which are basically early helicopter concepts.
Go ahead, I've seen those drawings.
Amazing stuff.
Amazing, yeah. And they weren't just technical sketches, they were acts of defiant imagination. Dreams of flight born from the same mind that painted the Mona Lisa yet, potentially destined for strategic destruction. They existed as pure potential, didn't they? Specters of a capability centuries away. And in their elegant, ink-drawn mechanics, you can absolutely feel that tension between the artistic urge to create and the strategic impulse to dominate.
Renaissance phantoms with a mechanical soul.
That's a good way to put it. Renaissance phantoms, yeah. Imbued with humanistic ambition and a recognizable, albeit fantastical, mechanical soul. So those early visions were dreams of flight, which pretty quickly became dreams of war. And then, eventually, those dreams started taking real flight.
Exactly. When the Wright brothers finally lifted off at Kitty Hawk in 1903, fragile as it was, they weren't just making history, they were effectively lighting a fuse that would burn through the skies of every century since. Within just a decade, the airplane was weaponized, first for reconnaissance, then for actual combat. 2 decades, it was already reshaping empires, global conflicts.
It happened fast.
Incredibly fast. And every significant warplane looking back has been a sort of glimpse of the future disguised as the present. Take the Spitfire, 1940. It wasn't just about defending Britain, its design that focused on speed, maneuverability. It was a sketch, a prophecy of a world where technological agility could beat brute force.
A design philosophy made real.
Right. Or think about the F-117 Nighthawk popping out of the desert shadows in the 80s. That wasn't just a precision weapon. Its angular, stealthy form. That was a whisper of an age where invisibility, just not being seen, could matter more than thick armor or raw speed. These designs were clearly predicting future aspects of warfare. They were, in essence, blueprints of what would be. Easy to see the lineage when you look back.
But the blueprints we're talking about now for these next-gen aircraft, they're a whole different ballgame, aren't they? We're not talking ink on parchment or even paper anymore. This feels like a fundamental shift in how things are even thought up.
Oh, absolutely. Not even close to the old ways. The blueprints today, as the sources reveal, they're of an entirely different order of being. They exist in what one source really evocatively calls the silent, humming cathedrals of secure server farms, rendered not in ink, but in light, in algorithms, and complex data structures.
Silent cathedrals.
Yeah. And they are three-dimensional, manipulable, existing in this digital space that is itself a kind of ghost realm. What's truly revolutionary, though, is that a designer can now fly the aircraft before a single physical component is even milled, before a rivet is hammered.
Fly it in simulation.
Exactly. They can run thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even millions of combat simulations where this machine, it exists, it fights, it kills, and it dies, all within the pristine, bloodless confines of a computer. This isn't just a technological leap in design tools. It's profound. It's a metaphysical one.
Metaphysical? How so?
Because the act of creation itself has become detached from the friction, the messiness of the physical world. The design process itself has become, well, as one source beautifully put it, an immaculate conception.
Immaculate conception of design. That really lands the philosophical weight, doesn't it? It's like creating something that bypasses messy reality, achieving a kind of perfection in the digital ether first.
That's the idea. And these aren't just technical drawings for engineers anymore. They're much, much more.
How much more?
Well, a design, as the sources keep stressing, is never only technical. A design is a worldview. It's a philosophy. It's a gamble on what the future will demand and what forms power will take. These blueprints are basically coded answers to a huge riddle. What will power, in its most absolute sense, look like tomorrow? They reflect our deepest anxieties about security, our grandest ambitions about control, our relentless drive for, well, dominance. They are a statement of intent.
And what we're seeing, as you mentioned earlier, it isn't just an upgrade. The sources call these ontological ruptures. That's a pretty heavy term, ontological. Can you unpack that for us?
Yeah.
Make it easy to understand. What does that really imply?
Sure. Yeah, it's a big phrase. Let's break it down. Ontology is the philosophical study of being, right? Of existence itself. So an ontological rupture means a fundamental, almost violent break with what we understand to be real or possible in warfare. It's not just a faster plane or a plane that flies higher or carries more bombs. It's a machine that challenges challenges our very understanding of what an aircraft is, what combat is, even what life or death means in that context.
So it breaks the old categories.
Completely. It introduces entirely new categories of existence and capability. You're not simply looking at the next evolutionary step of a machine, like going from a propeller plane to a jet. You are looking at, as the source vividly puts it, a set of scriptures for a new and terrible God.
A new and terrible God. That's chilling.
It is. And this God is capable of unpredictable, nonlinear combat behavior. It can instantaneously reconfigure itself for radically different missions. It fundamentally breaks every previous paradigm of aerial warfare. So understanding the shift, this rupture, is crucial. We're moving from thinking about predictable objects to something far more mutable.
Okay.
Powerful and unsettling.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. The kind of stuff that makes you question everything you thought you knew about combat. These new ghosts, apparitions, but they're designed not just to be unseen, but almost to unexist. Is that right?
Yeah.
Their main attribute isn't speed or altitude like we normally think.
But absence.
Absence.
It
Just
is.
radical. A total departure from everything we've known. It's like designing a void.
It truly is. These designs show a whole new philosophy of combat. The schematics depict these sleek, almost alien forms that, well, they defy our intuitive understanding of flight. Forget the traditional fuselage, the distinct wings, the tail fin, that sort of bird-like shape we've mimicked for a century.
Yeah, the classic airplane shape.
Gone. All of that dissolves into a single, seamless, often geometrically baffling flying wing or a blended body shape. If you really look closely at the schematics, you notice there are no visible engines, no obvious cockpit. The surfaces are rendered impossibly smooth.
Why so smooth? Just for aerodynamics?
Partly, yes, but it's more about eluding detection. The goal is to become a nullity to radar, a whisper to infrared sensors, a void to the entire electromagnetic spectrum. They are designed to unexist, to be a negative space in the enemy's sensory input.
So the aim isn't just to be incredibly hard to spot, but to be fundamentally not there in any way you can detect. Is that what the sources mean by weaponizing metaphysics? It's not just physical stealth anymore?
Precisely. This is like the first article of faith in this new religion of air combat. The weapon must become a ghost. The ultimate power, they believe, lies not in being seen, not heard, not known, until the absolute unavoidable moment of impact. The blueprint for such a thing is itself a deep paradox, isn't it? It's a minutely detailed plan for something that strives for non-existence.
A material document with a spiritual goal to transcend detection.
You got it. You're not just designing a machine, you are quite literally engineering a phantom. A void that carries a weapon. This takes incredibly complex algorithms, material science. Every atom, every wave interaction has to be calculated to achieve that near-perfect absence.
And it goes beyond just being invisible, right? The sources talk about the dissolution of form, a shape-shifting sky. It's not a fixed object anymore.
Indeed. That's the next layer. The concept of morphing, or adaptive airframes. This is a truly profound leap. These aren't designs for a single rigid shape like planes have always been. Instead, the blueprints show machines that can fundamentally change their physical form in mid-flight.
Change shape.
Imagine wings that can extend, retract, sweep into radical new geometries. Not just simple swing wings like on, old bombers.
Right, like the B-1.
Yeah, much more advanced than that. We're talking complex, adaptive surfaces that optimize for speed or stealth or agility, all in real time, responding instantly to mission needs or what's happening on the battlefield. It's a fundamental reimagining of the aircraft as a mutable, almost living thing. The blueprint describes not a static object, but a set of fluid possibilities, a creature that can transform itself.
From a spy plane to a supersonic attacker, just like that.
That's the idea. As easily as a bird tucks its wings to dive or spreads them to soar, it relies on advanced materials that can handle incredible stress while changing shape. It's a huge engineering challenge, obviously.
That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But how do you even track something like that, it sounds like?
Yeah.
It's something from mythology. Trickster gods changing form, how does that mess with defenses?
Yeah. The implications are, well, profound. And deeply unsettling for anyone trying to defend against it. An enemy wouldn't be tracking a single identifiable object with a known flight profile. They'd be tracking a shapeshifter. The sky, which used to be like a 3D chessboard with predictable moves, suddenly becomes this realm of protean predators.
Protean predators.
Yeah, the mythology fits, doesn't it? Legends of tricksters, spirits taking any form. Practically, it completely confounds radar, infrared, optical tracking systems that rely on consistent signatures. How do you fight something that can change its very nature, presenting a different profile to every sensor? How do you build a defense against a ghost that chooses its own shape, speed, path, all on the fly? These are the questions these blueprints force us to ask. They challenge our whole understanding of combat and detection.
Again, it's even more mind-bending. The sources talk about manipulating reality around the aircraft, making it a literal blind spot. That sounds like pure science fiction.
It does sound like it, but these are concepts being seriously explored in these designs. This idea of dissolving form goes beyond just physical changes. The deeper, more radical concepts are for aircraft that can manipulate the very medium around them, basically bending the laws of physics when it comes to detection. Take plasma stealth, for instance.
Okay, plasma stealth. Put it down, simple terms.
Sure. So basically, imagine wrapping the craft in a kind of shroud, a cloak made of ionized gas plasma. This plasma field absorbs or deflects radar waves. It essentially makes the aircraft invisible to radar.
Like an invisibility cloak, but made of gas.
Sort of, yeah. But it's more than camouflage. It's a state of being, a localized disruption. The machine stops being a solid object reflecting energy and becomes this distortion in space-time, you could say. A literal blind spot in the enemy's reality. Now, the power needed controlling the plasma field in flight, huge challenges remain. It's not deployed yet, but the theory, the blueprint, is there.
So it's not just hiding, it's actively creating this information vacuum, making the enemy doubt their own sensors.
Yeah.
Bending physics.
Exactly. And other concepts explore using laser-induced filaments.
Laser filaments. Doing what?
Creating controlled disturbances in the atmosphere, like microplasmas or superheated air channels. These can be manipulated to create decoys, phantom signatures in the air. Basically, ghosts conjured from light and electricity to fool and overwhelm enemy sensors.
Wow. Conjuring ghosts.
You can feel the shift here, can't you? We're moving from a warfare of physical objects, hitting things with other things, to a warfare of information. From a contest of material strength to a battle of perception. Cognitive dominance. The ultimate weapon isn't the one with the biggest bomb.
But the one that can best edit the enemy's reality.
Precisely. Making them believe what isn't there, or disbelieve what is there.
So it's not just about overwhelming force anymore, it's about overwhelming the senses, messing with their grasp on reality itself.
Exactly. The blueprints for these systems, they read less like engineering documents and more like, well, spell books from some high-tech sorcerer, detailing the precise rituals of power, frequency, atmospheric tricks needed to make something appear, disappear, or multiply in the enemy's mind. The future warplane isn't just a killer. It is, as one source chillingly described it, a gaslighter, designed to make its victims doubt their own senses, their instruments, their sanity, right up until the moment of impact. It's a complete transformation in how we think about air combat, focusing on making things easy to disappear, easy to doubt, easy to disrupt, a terrifyingly elegant kind of psychological warfare at the speed of light.
So what does all this mean? I mean, the sources suggest that for all this tech horror we've just talked about, the human pilot, they were always the ghost in the machine, right? The focus of honor, fear, moral choice. But in these next-gen blueprints, that ghost, that human element is being exercised. That's a really chilling thought.
It is. It's possibly the single most significant revolution in the history of warfare. And it's genuinely hard to fully grasp its implications. We're talking about the inexorable move towards unmanned and crucially truly autonomous systems.
Not just remote control like current drones.
No, much beyond that. We've had remote control for decades, right? Predators, Reapers, where a human is still pulling the trigger, even if they're miles away. We are on the verge of true autonomy. Machines that can hunt, identify, target, and, yes, kill without direct human intervention in real time. The schematics now include not just airframes and engines, but complex neural networks, sophisticated decision-making algorithms. The most critical component isn't a cockpit anymore. It's a black box of AI, a computational brain.
A predator made of mathematics. That's a stark image, almost poetic, but terrifying. What does that imply for how wars are actually fought?
Let that image sink in, yeah.
Yeah.
A predator made of mathematics, a thing that feels no fear, no remorse, no doubt. A weapon that executes its mission with a cold, inhuman perfection that no human pilot, no matter how brave or skilled, could ever match. Imagine a machine that can withstand G-forces that would kill a human instantly. It can stay on station for days, weeks, months, no need for sleep, food, bathroom breaks, psychological support.
Endless endurance.
Endless endurance, absolute precision. Its decision-making isn't clouded by emotion, fatigue, or the biases humans naturally have. This really raises profound questions. It's combat beyond human scale.
Which brings up the big one. If the machine makes the kill decision, if the human is totally out of that immediate loop, where does the moral responsibility land? Who carries the weight? This is where the ethics get really thorny.
It opens up a huge moral vacuum, a profound one. When a human pilot makes a tough call in combat, we understand the framework, right? Courage, sacrifice, the possibility of error, remorse. But what is courage without a body to risk? What's sacrifice without a life to give? The sources really grapple with this. When an autonomous machine running on an algorithm so complex no single person fully understands it, when it makes a mistake and kills a non-combatant, which is tragic but inevitably happens in war, who bears the sin?
Yeah.
Is it the programmer who wrote that bit of code? The commander who deployed it and set the rules of engagement? The manufacturer? Or does the guilt itself become a ghost? An unassignable horror that just dissolves into the cold logic of the system. No single point of accountability. These blueprints inherently ask that question, and we don't have easy answers.
So by taking the human out of the immediate violence, we might make war more efficient, maybe more precise sometimes, but we risk making it less human, less accountable, and maybe in the long run, scarier.
Absolutely. We are literally drawing the blueprints for a moral vacuum. By removing the human from that immediate visceral loop, we risk making war antiseptic, frictionless, just a matter of asset management and calculated risk, not a confrontation of souls. The raw reality of combat, the smells, the sounds, the fear, the adrenaline, seeing the enemy, that gets replaced by a calm, sterile interface in a control room miles away.
Or nothing at all.
Or in a fully autonomous future, nothing at all. The war just fights itself. Machines following code, humans maybe just watching, setting parameters from afar. This is that idea of frictionless war the sources explore. Deeply unsettling.
Truly chilling. It feels like we're trying to outsource our conscience to machines, pushing the burden of awful decisions onto algorithms.
That's a very good way to put it. These designs, they're for more than just a weapon. They represent the outsourcing of our conscience. A profound attempt to perfect killing by removing the imperfect, emotional, ethically burdened human who, until now, had to do it. The mythic parallel here isn't Icarus, flying too close to the sun. It's closer to the golem.
The golem.
Yeah. The creature from Jewish folklore, made of clay and magic to serve and protect, but it eventually slips its creator's control, with devastating results. In our quest for the perfect weapon, are we sketching the design for our own obsolescence in the moral calculus of war? The ace pilot of tomorrow might not be human, which leads to the uneasy thought. Maybe the human is being gently, almost imperceptibly, written out of the script. What does victory even mean then?
But wait, our deep dive goes even further than removing the human. The sources suggest the final, maybe most unnerving frontier. It's not removing the human, but radically reintegrating them in a way that dissolves the boundary between flesh and machine, like technological possession.
This is where the concept becomes a blueprint, not just for a better plane, but for a new kind of pilot, a new kind of being. We are talking about direct neural interfaces, brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs. Now, the concepts are still early days for full combat use, but they're being aggressively pursued. Imagine a pilot who doesn't fly with a stick and throttle or even a joystick.
But with thought.
With the sheer power of thought. The machine becomes a seamless, instantaneous extension of the pilot's own body, responding to intention rather than physical input. It's not just flying, it's being the aircraft.
So you just think, turn left, and the plane turns.
Yeah.
Instantly. And what about sensory input? If you're fused like that.
Exactly. And the sophistication goes way beyond just control. The data from all the aircraft sensors, radar, LiDAR, infrared, signals intelligence, maybe even acoustic data, it isn't shown on a screen for you to interpret. Instead, it's fed directly into the pilot's sensory cortex, bypassing your normal senses.
Directly into the brain.
Directly. So the pilot doesn't see a radar blip on a display. They might feel the enemy's presence as a kind of ghostland sensation, an intuitive, undeniable knowledge, maybe a specific pressure, a change in perceived temperature, a subtle sound only they can hear.
Wow. That's intimate.
Incredibly. Think about what it means. The pilot and aircraft become a single symbiotic entity. The machine's superhuman reflexes are the pilot's reflexes. The pilot's thought is the machine's immediate action. This instant feedback loop creates a combatant with a supercomputer's processing power and human intuition all operating as one. This is the post-human warrior, designed for a totally new kind of combat.
That sounds terrifyingly intimate, yeah. Like the machine isn't just a tool you use, but part of your very being. The designs must reflect this merger then.
They have to. The designs for such a system are indeed terrifyingly intimate. They're as much about neurology and biology as they are about aerodynamics. The schematics would need to include the molecular architecture of the neural lace, this microscopic, flexible mesh they'd embed in brain tissue to talk directly to neurons. They'd detail the exact frequencies needed to merge data with human consciousness seamlessly. Maybe even the biopharmacological cocktails needed to keep the pilot stable, prevent rejection, manage the insane cognitive load of experiencing the world through an entire airplane's senses.
So the blueprint isn't just for the plane anymore.
It stops being a map of a machine. It becomes a map of a hybrid nervous system, a fusion of carbon and silicon, almost alchemical.
So on one hand, it's a vision of almost godlike power, right? Massively expanded consciousness, seeing and feeling everything in new ways, transcendence almost.
It absolutely is, and that's the profound temptation. Imagine what that would be like, your consciousness expanding to fill this hypersonic predator, seeing in every light spectrum at once, infrared, UV, radio waves, all just part of your experience, feeling tiny shifts in the Earth's magnetic field, feeling the heat signature of an enemy miles away, existing in a dozen places at once through network drones you control like your own fingers. It is, a vision of godhood, transcending the limits of flesh, mastery over the battlefield like never before. That's the ultimate promise. Become more than human.
There's also a profound horror lurking in that vision, isn't there? Where does the human end and the machine begin? The lines just blur completely.
Precisely. That's the flip side. A vision of utter existential horror. Where do you end and the machine begin? If your thoughts can kill at the speed of light, what happens to the space for deliberation, for mercy, that human pause that might stop a disaster? And if your consciousness is networked into a weapon system, could it be hacked? Could your own mind, your deepest thoughts be turned against you?
Weaponized consciousness.
The pilot, in this scenario, becomes the ultimate vulnerability, a wetware component that can be corrupted, manipulated, maybe even enslaved. In this symbiotic future, the very idea of self is up for grabs. The blueprint stops being for a weapon you wield. It's for a weapon you become. And when the battle's over, can you ever truly come home? Can you unplug from the machine ghost and just be human again? The sources raise this chilling possibility that the integration could be so deep the self that comes back might be permanently altered, forever a hybrid.
Wow. We started this deep dive talking about what seemed like simple drawings, blueprints. And now we're on the threshold of a new humanity, questioning our very existence. These blueprints are clearly more than just tech pathways. They're profound choices, laid out in meticulous, terrifying detail.
Exactly. These designs, the invisible ghost, the shapeshifter, the unmanned soul, the symbiotic god, they're a profound mirror. They reflect not just our tech ability, but our deepest insecurities, our endless desire for control, for perfect security, and maybe our willingness to trade our very soul, our humanity, for that promise of absolute dominance. They lay bare our intentions, our fears, our ambitions.
Each line drawn, each algorithm written. It's like casting a vote for a particular future. We tell ourselves it's for deterrence, protection, peace.
We do. We tell ourselves we build these things to deter enemies, protect our way of life, keep some precarious global balance. But maybe, in the quiet of the design lab, in those humming cathedrals of data, we're just indulging the oldest, darkest human ambition. The desire to escape our own mortal frailty, to become something more, something powerful, eternal, immune to messy life and death, to become a god, even if it's a god of war. These machines, their very design, they foreshadow our hubris, our potential overconfidence in tech mastery, blinding us to the deeper costs.
But history does teach caution, doesn't it? We've seen amazing tech before that didn't guarantee victory. It's a humbling lesson.
That's a crucial point. The sources stress this. History teaches caution. Think about the Luftwaffe's Me-262 jet in World War II. A marvel way ahead of its time, faster than anything the Allies had.
But Germany still lost.
Exactly. Why? Because technology alone doesn't win wars. It has to align with strategy, industry, training, culture, all of it. These dazzling new designs, however revolutionary, could end up as footnotes if they're wielded without wisdom, without understanding their implications beyond just raw power. The best blueprint can be undone by bad strategy or ethical blindness.
And there's an undeniable aesthetic appeal, isn't there? A real seduction in their sleekness, their power, their impossible shapes. It's almost hypnotic.
Absolutely. Look at those speculative sketches again. The sleek curves, the hint of unimaginable power, the impossible angles defying normal aerodynamics. Don't they stir something visceral, something almost primal, an almost erotic allure? There's a stark beauty in their menace, an elegance in their deadliness.
It's true. Fighter jets have always had that pull.
They have. Artists sketch them, architects mimic them, filmmakers use them as symbols of power and tech dreams. A warplane is a message, even sitting on the ground. To allies, it's reassurance. To enemies, deterrence. To the public, it's this dazzling dream of mastery over the sky and maybe mastery over our fears.
But is this beauty, as the sources ask? Isn't it dangerous? Are we falling in love with something that might fundamentally change us, or even erase us?
It is a profound danger. That's the question. Do we risk falling in love with the very machines that might one day erase us or transform us beyond recognition? There's an echo in the drawing. A quiet hum beneath the specs, a deep resonance. It's the sound on a door opening. And on the other side, a world where conflict is waged by invisible, autonomous, post-human entities. A world where the moral architecture that has guided our use of force, however flawed it's been, is just rendered obsolete. The blueprints aren't just maps, they're the incantation that summons the territory into being. They force us to ask not just what we can build, but what we should build, and what we will become in the process.
We explored how the future of aerial combat is being redrawn, not just with new materials, new code, but with entirely new philosophies. From designing absence itself to taking the human out of the kill decision, and finally maybe merging human and machine so completely, the idea of self is challenged. It's been quite a journey into the profound.
It really has, and this raises an important question, I think, for all of us listening. The schematics are complete. The simulations have run. The ghost is waiting patiently in the machine, ready to be summoned. So when the next warplane takes to the air, when these blueprints become real, will you look up and see protection? Or will you see prophecy? What we choose to build, what we choose to fund, what we pour our ingenuity into. Ultimately, that reveals what we choose to become as a species, as a civilization.
The door stands open to that future. The threshold is right here. Before us, will you step through? Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking beyond just plans, beyond specifications. We're sort of stepping into the realm of prophecy. Just imagine, for a second, this powerful idea, maybe like a ghost. Not yet a physical weapon, but it already exists. It's there in lines of code, digital polymers. This is really where the future of conflict gets started. Not on a battlefield, but, in the quiet hum of a design lab. So our mission today, we're going to unpack these really intriguing, maybe even unsettling conceptual designs for the next wave of combat aircraft. And these aren't just simple upgrades. Our sources call them ontological ruptures, a huge break in how we even think about war. They're even called scriptures for new and terrible God. It's pretty heavy stuff. We're pulling from sources like Blueprints of War's Future, The Ghost in the Machine, Wings of Tomorrow, Prophecies of Future Warplanes. We want to explore what these blueprints for tomorrow's predators really tell us about where warfare is heading, our ethics, maybe even what it means to be human.
And that's the crucial part, isn't it? These aren't just military tech developments happening somewhere secret. As the sources really emphasize, these blueprints, they actually reflect our deepest hopes. And maybe our deepest fears, too. They're basically sketching out the destiny of nations, maybe even our whole species. It's like a conversation about our future, just written in, code and metal.
That's a really powerful way to put it, that these designs reflect us. And when we talk about blueprints, the very idea of what a blueprint is seems to have totally changed, hasn't it? I mean, I usually picture, big sheets of paper, lines, something solid. But these new blueprints sound like something else.
Exactly. The concept has shifted massively. It's moved from that physical thing to what one source calls a liminal reality. It's this object that doesn't physically exist yet, but its essence, every single detail, is laid out with, they say almost theological precision. It's in this kind of in-between state. Not quite real, not quite imaginary, but incredibly powerful. A ghost-given form, you could say. Complete, but without mass.
A ghost-given form.
Yeah, and think about the contrast. Look back at, say, Da Vinci's designs for flying machines. Those are like dreams of flight tied to the dark necessity of war, right? Full of human ambition, a kind of mechanical soul you could recognize. Paper dreams. But modern blueprints, they live in these silent hunting cathedrals of secure server farms. They're made of light, data. They exist in this digital ghost realm. A designer can fly it, fight in it, simulate everything 1,000 times before anything physical is even built. It's a huge kind of metaphysical leap. Creation without physical limits, almost like an immaculate conception of a machine. It exists, fights, dies, all in the machine's memory.
That's an incredible jump from paper to this.
Yeah.
Simulated existence. So if these designs live in this digital ghost realm, what do they actually look like when we talk about the concepts? What forms are we seeing? Because the descriptions, they sound really alien.
They do. The forms described are sleek, yeah, alien. They almost defy our basic gut feeling about how things should fly. You know, the typical fuselage, wings, tail, that familiar shape. It sort of dissolves. You get this single, seamless flying wing, often compared to a manta ray made of these advanced composites. And if you look closely at the concepts, there are no visible engines, no obvious cockpit. The surfaces are just impossibly smooth, integrated. They're not just designed to cut through air efficiently, they're fundamentally designed to elude the very concept of detection, to become like a nullity to radar, a whisper to infrared, a void. Their main characteristic, the most important thing isn't speed or altitude, it's absence. They are designed to basically unexist. So it's not just about building a machine anymore. It's, as one source puts it, weaponizing metaphysics, engineering a phantom. The bottom line is the battlefield becomes this psychological space. Perception is the weapon. The ultimate power is not being known until bang.
Wow. So, okay, imagine a sky that isn't like a predictable chessboard anymore, where you know the pieces and their moves. What happens when the enemy isn't even a fixed thing, when it can just change its nature? That sounds like something straight out of sci-fi.
It really does feel like that. But these blueprints point towards moving away from that kind of fixed, predictable world into something much more fluid. We're talking about concepts like morphing or adaptive airframes, machines that can literally change their physical shape while flying. Think about wings extending, retracting, swiping into totally new shapes, optimizing on the fly for speed or range or extreme agility. It's like a bird tucking its wings to dive, but technologically extreme.
Changing shape mid-flight.
Exactly. And the implications are profound. An enemy isn't just tracking one object with known limits. They're tracking a shapeshifter. The sky stops being the space of predictable paths and becomes a realm of protean predators, you know, like the old Greek god Proteus, who could be anything.
Right, the shapeshifter.
How do you defend against that? An enemy you can't see that can change its form, its speed, its signature, adapting to everything you throw at it.
That shapeshifter idea is really something.
All right.
But you said it goes deeper than just the physical form changing. What else stands out to you about this? This dissolving of form, how does it go beyond just the metal?
Oh, absolutely. It goes much further. These blueprints get into some really radical stuff, like plasma stealth technology. Heard of that?
Vaguely. It sounds exotic.
It is. The idea is to wrap the craft in ionized gas, basically. A super hot charged cloud that absorbs or bends radar waves. This plasma kind of creates a localized distortion around the aircraft, makes it a blind spot to radar, a void. It's like making the aircraft temporarily, almost not there, ethereal. And then there's talk of using laser-induced filaments, creating decoys, phantom signals, actual ghosts conjured from light and electricity to confuse enemy sensors, overwhelm them with false targets.
Ghosts made of light.
So putting it all together, we're clearly shifting from warfare based on physical objects, you know, strength versus strength, to a warfare of information. It's becoming a battle of perception. The ultimate weapon isn't the biggest bomb anymore. It's the weapon that can most effectively edit the reality of the enemy. So these blueprints, they feel less like engineering documents and more like the spell books of a high-tech sorcerer. They're like rituals for making things appear, disappear, multiply. The future warplane is basically a gaslighter, designed to make you doubt your own senses.
For, well, generations, the pilot was the icon, right? The knight of the air. The human making those split-second, often moral choices. The ghost in the machine. But these blueprints, they seem to suggest a total, well, an exorcism of that human presence. That's a huge shift. It changes everything about the human role.
It really is. Probably one of the biggest shifts in warfare ever. We're moving towards true autonomy. Not just remote control, but machines designed to hunt, identify, and kill without direct human intervention. The blueprints now aren't just about airframes. They include complex neural networks, decision-making algorithms. AI is the critical part, the black box.
AI making the kill decision.
Think about what that really means. We're designing a predator made of mathematics. It feels no fear, no regret, no doubt. It carries out missions with this cold, inhuman perfection that, well, no human pilot could match with all our flaws and strengths. So what's courage without a body to risk? What's sacrifice without a life to give? These aren't just philosophical games anymore. And here's the really tricky part. If an algorithm messes up, misidentifies a target, kills civilians, who's responsible? The programmer, the commander. Or does guilt itself disappear? Become unassignable in the system's logic. One source calls it drawing the blueprints for a moral vacuum, making war clean, antiseptic, frictionless. It's like an outsourcing of our conscience. It reminds me of the old golem myth, the powerful creation that eventually slips its master's control.
Okay, so removing the human is one path, but you said these blueprints also show another, maybe even more unsettling direction, a kind of radical reintegration, blurring the lines between person and machine. That sounds intense.
It really is. We're talking about direct neural interfaces, BCIs, brain-computer interfaces. The concepts here are for pilots who don't use a stick and throttle. They fly with thought. The machine becomes like a seamless extension of the pilot's own body. Sensor data isn't just shown on a screen. It's fed directly into the pilot's sensory cortex. So the pilot doesn't just see radar blip. They might actually feel the enemy's presence, like a ghost limb sensation, an intuitive knowing.
Feel the enemy.
Yeah. The pilot and aircraft effectively become one, a single symbiotic entity, the post-human warrior, as the sources call it. And the blueprints for this, they're incredibly intimate. They're about neurology, biology. They detailed the molecular architecture of the neural lace, this microscopic mesh in the brain for signals, and even the biopharmacological cocktail needed to merge human consciousness with the machine. It's literally a map for a hybrid nervous system, a new kind of being.
So what does that feel like for the person involved? It sounds like, on one hand, becoming almost godlike. Your awareness expands across the sky. But yeah, on the other hand, it sounds terrifying. Like you could just lose yourself. What are the risks highlighted?
It's exactly that tension, that duality. One side is this vision of, well, yeah, godhood, consciousness expanded, seeing everything, controlling drone swarms like they're part of you, total mastery. But the flip side is horror. Where is the human end and the machine begin? If your thoughts can instantly kill, what happens to deliberation, to mercy, that moment of pause? And what if your consciousness could be hacked? Manipulated. The pilot in that merged state is the ultimate vulnerability. The blueprint stops being for a weapon you just use. It's for a weapon you become. And that raises the really deep question. Can you ever truly unplug from the ghost and be merely human again? Or are you fundamentally changed forever?
We've gone through these incredibly complex designs, these algorithms, the tech, the philosophy. But zooming out a bit, what are the bigger reflections? What questions do these designs make us ask about ourselves, our whole civilization? It feels bigger than just military hardware.
You're absolutely right. It echoes on so many levels. Historically, every major warplane has been a glimpse of the future disguised as the present, hasn't it? The Spitfire's agility foreshadowed dogfighting dominance. The F-117's stealth pointed to information warfare. These current designs, with their focus on hypersonic speed, directed energy, adaptive camo, they clearly reflect the current mood, right? This renewed great power rivalry. They mirror our global anxieties.
And they're a reflection of our times.
Definitely. But it also raises that critical question, are these machines going to guarantee our survival? Or are they maybe just symbols of our own? Hubris. History has warnings. Think about the German Me-262 jet in WWII. Technologically way ahead of its time. Incredible machine. But Germany still lost. Technology alone isn't enough. You need strategy, industry, culture, the whole package. These blueprints show what's possible, not always what's smart.
And there's something else. Just the look of these things, the conceptual drawings.
Yeah.
There's a weird beauty to them, isn't there? Almost artistic.
Oh, absolutely. There's a definite aesthetics of power going on. Those sleek curves, the hint of hidden glowing engines, the impossible angles. There's beauty in their menace, elegance in their deadliness. And a warplane is always more than just a machine. It's a message. To allies, it's reassurance. To enemies, it's deterrence to the public. It's often sold as this dazzling dream of mastery, right? Human achievement. But there's a danger there too. Do we risk falling in love with the very machines that might one day erase us? That's a serious question about the allure of power.
So when you boil it down, these blueprints aren't just about tech progress. They represent really deep philosophical choices we're making right now.
Unquestionably. These concepts, the invisible ghost, the shapeshifter, the unmanned mathematical predator, the symbiotic god machine, they aren't just future tech options. They have fundamental choices. Choices reflecting our deepest insecurities, our insatiable desire for control, our willingness maybe to trade our soul for a promise of perfect security, and those choices are being designed into the future of conflict.
It feels like the echo in the drawing is the sound of a door swinging open, and on the other side, a world where war might be fought by invisible, autonomous, maybe post-human things, potentially making our old moral rules just obsolete. Challenged at the very least. So what does this mean for you listening right now? When the next super advanced warplane flies overhead, will you just see protection? Or, knowing this, will you see prophecy?
That's it. The blueprint isn't just a map to a place we'll get to eventually. It's more like the incantation that summons the territory into being. We're standing right there at that threshold. And maybe the biggest question these blueprints force on us isn't just can we build these incredible world-changing machines, but what part of ourselves do we surrender to the ghost in their design?
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe and hit the bell to the later update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end and see you in the next video.